I'm Ruth, and about 18 months ago I bought this camper van to travel my home country of Scotland. Since I bought this van, I've made changes and I've also received questions. So in this video, I'm going to share an updated tour of my campervan Ernie. Let's start with the van specs. So this is a Toyota Hiace long wheelbase with a high roof. It has a 2,446cc engine and weighs around 3 tonne. On the exterior there are tinted windows, it's a manual vehicle and it takes diesel fuel. Inside there are 2 seats and the mileage is at almost 110,000. This vehicle is from 2001 and it was previously used by the Royal Mail as a mail delivery van before being bought by the previous owner and converted into a camper van. I bought this van on eBay. I saw it for sale and it was located in Liverpool in England, so I drove down there to see it and then decided to buy it. I paid £6,600 for this camper van and it's my only vehicle. Since purchasing this camper van around 18 months ago, I've probably spent approximately another £4,500 on vehicle and engine related things. So I've had to replace quite a few parts in the engine. Many of the parts were the original parts and they needed replaced because they were all over 20 years old. I also had issues with the sliding door, which has finally been fixed, and I've also put the van through 2 MOTs, which is the annual roadworthy check in the United Kingdom. This is something really to bear in mind if you do plan to buy an older vehicle. That is the trade-off. You get a lower price, but you probably will have to replace or fix some things with the vehicle because it's old. I have a really great mechanic and I know now that the engine is the best it can be and there is the potential of this van having a very long life. People often say that Toyota Hiaces can reach up to 300,000 miles if you take care of the engine, so I'm hoping the van has a lot more miles in it yet. Now I'll show you the inside. Okay, so always shoes off in my van. So the first thing when you come in the door here that you notice is the high roof. So it's possible to stand up inside my van. Having the high roof here in the van really is important to me and it really adds to my comfort levels in the van. So I've spent many days in vans without a high roof in the pouring rain, and after a few days it does start to get a bit uncomfortable. But when I have the high roof, the van feels much more spacious, it's much more comfortable for cooking and just doing general things in the van. The previous owner of the van was around 6 foot and he was able to stand up in the van as well. So I'm 5'3" and there's plenty of space here. So in the entrance area here of the van, this is where I store my toilet. So I usually have it like this, so it's out of the way and you can't really notice it. So this is a separating toilet from a German company called Trillino. I am very happy with this toilet and I really like the fact that it doesn't look like a toilet. I have made 2 full videos all about the toilet, so I won't cover it in this video, but if you want to know more about the toilet, I will link the toilet videos below. This passenger seat chair also turns around and can be used as a chair. So next, I will show you the kitchen in the van. So this whole area here is the kitchen, and inside here I have 2 gas burners, and that is powered by a gas tank which is in the cupboard down here. So I have a gas canister from a company called Flow Gas, and unfortunately I don't have a locker to put the gas canister in. I have looked into doing it, but there just isn't enough space. So the only other solution would probably be to not use this. I'd have to get a portable burner or a portable cooking stove. I have put some gas vents in to mitigate the risk, and I also have a carbon monoxide detector up here above the cooking area. There is also a sink on this side, so this is a foot pump operated sink, and I have 2 10-litre tanks below, one for fresh water and one for grey water. When I got the van, there was a 12-volt pump. However, I had to put the key in the ignition in order to power it, and one night I forgot the key in the ignition, woke up in the morning and the batteries were flat. So after that I changed over to a foot pump and I'm very happy with it. I can also control the water much better, so when I had the 12 volt system it came out very fast, but with the foot pump I can control it so the water lasts for longer. I also carry with me an extra 10-litre water tank, and it's a really good idea because I actually use it quite often. On the kitchen cabinets here I have lovely soft handles. Originally there were metal handles on here, but I was constantly knocking into them with my legs because it's quite a narrow space. So I changed these over earlier in the year and I'm really happy with them. In the cupboard down here, there is a little shelf above the wheel, which is good for storing things like bottles and, in my case, Scottish whisky. If you watch my videos often, you'll also know that I have a whisky cabinet in the front of the van too. There is also a very decently sized cupboard with 2 shelves. Above the kitchen is this useful shelf here, and although it doesn't look like much space, you can actually fit quite a lot on it. So earlier in the year I installed these bungee cords, and these are fantastic. They're a very cheap and easy way to keep everything in and nothing falls down when I'm driving. So I store a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables up here, books, teas and coffees, washing up liquid and things like that. It's a great use of space. Okay, next I will show you the sofa and the bed. So this here is the sofa area. It's a very good space for having a meal or doing some work. It really only fits 2 people comfortably, 1 on each side. I would say 4 would probably be quite a tight squeeze. This area then turns into the bed. So let me show you. So this table, unclip, the leg folds away, and then this sits on some runners. And then the backrests, they fit in the middle here. There we have it. The bed is complete. So this bed is really only good for 1 person, as you can see. So it would be a very tight squeeze for 2 people. However, I generally travel in the van by myself, so this bed works great for me. Perfect. For power in my van, I have everything hidden behind this curtain here. So got this curtain quite recently and it makes the van look much tidier as there's lots of cables and things going on in here. For power in my van, I use 2 Bluetti batteries. So these are a more simple and easy way to get electricity in your van compared to doing a full 12 volt or 24 volt system. I have experience doing that in the past and it is quite technical and it can be quite difficult if you don't have any experience with that type of thing, or if you didn't pay attention in physics class like me. You can charge up the Bluetti batteries using AC power from your house before you go on your trip, or you can recharge them while you're at a campsite and you hook up your van using the AC power socket. The Bluetti batteries can also be charged in 2 other ways. So you can charge them when you're driving by plugging them in to the 12 volt cigarette socket, or you can charge them using a solar panel. So the big battery I have at the bottom here, this is quite a heavy and bulky battery, and this one is the AC200 Max, and then on the top I have the smaller and more portable AC70 battery. So this is more for a backup battery for me once I run out of power with the AC200 Max. So I use these for powering everything in my van. So I use them to power my Deisel heater, my fridge, my Starlink internet. I can use it to power hair dryer, hair straighteners, and I use them to power all my devices like my laptop, my drone, my camera, my phone, my Kindle, anything you can think of. I would say I'm quite a heavy user of power because when I'm making videos when I travel, I use a lot of power to charge all my devices and power the Starlink internet. So you might not need as much power as I have. Bluetti have been an ongoing sponsor of my YouTube channel and they've kindly sponsored this video today. If you'd like to know more about Bluetti batteries, you can check out the link in the video description below. Bluetti have kindly offered an AC2A battery as a Christmas gift to one of you watching this video. To enter the giveaway, all you need to do is leave a comment below explaining the creative ways that you'd use an AC2A battery over the Christmas period. I'll select the winner in 2 weeks' time and announce it on my YouTube community page. This giveaway is only open to people living in the UK due to shipping reasons. I also have a 130 watt flexible solar panel installed on the roof of my van, which is really fantastic in the summer time in Scotland when there's so many daylight hours, but in the winter it's not much use, to be honest, because there's only around 6 or 7 hours of daylight. My van also has an AC system installed, and this was already in the van when I got it. So when I go to a campsite, I can plug in to the electricity and then this will give me power in the van. Around this time last year, I got a diesel heater installed in my van for the winter months. So I opted to go for a diesel heater called the Lavener Pro. It's a 12 volt diesel heater and it's 2 kilowatts. So it's a good size of heater for this van. So 5 kilowatt heaters tend to be for bigger vans like motorhomes. My diesel heater is hooked directly into the diesel tank of the vehicle, so I don't need a separate fuel tank only for the diesel heater. It's very important to get your diesel heater installed correctly. I have had numerous issues with my heater, and most recently there was diesel fuel actually leaking inside the van because the fuel lines had not been attached tightly onto the heater. I have had my diesel heater properly checked over by my local garage and it is now completely fine and it's had no problems for about 6 months, so fingers crossed it continues to work okay. However, putting the diesel heater in has been such a game changer though, because it really started to get quite uncomfortable in the van from October onwards last year. So I'd say between October and April in Scotland, I'm using the diesel heater a lot. I don't have it on overnight. I usually heat up the van, turn it off, and then get into my sleeping bag and go to sleep. But for the mornings when it's really cold, it's so nice to have the heater. I also made a video with more information about the diesel heater and what I did to help winterize my van last year. So if you'd like to know more about the heater, you can check out that video and I will link it below. Inside this area, which is under the sofa, I also have a fridge. So this is a 12 litre fridge from Alprecool and I just bought it on Amazon, but it's been absolutely great. So it's actually more than enough for one person, I find, and it's a little bit noisy, but when I sleep I tend to wear earplugs anyway, so it blocks out the noise. Inside looks like this. This fridge has been so great for storing leftovers and having some beers and wines. So very happy with this purchase. You can change the settings and actually turn this into a freezer as well, but if you use it as a freezer it's going to use more power. Next, I will show you the storage in the van. So I showed you already under the sofa with the diesel heater and the fridge. On the other side, it's a similar size. However, to access it, it's a bit annoying, but nothing really much can be done about it. So I put these on the table, put this up here like this, and then I can access all my clothes in here. Quite a lot of space in here for clothes. I usually keep my sleeping bag in here as well, and then there you have the extra 10 litre water tank as well. In terms of other storage, there's actually quite a lot of upper storage here. So at the back there is this cabinet here. There's another one here which is good size. 3 on this side. And then there's a really huge one at the front, which is where I store the Starlink internet and all the cables. I also have a backpack in there as well. All these upper storage areas fit quite a lot of things inside. So behind the Bluetti battery area, there is this compartment, and It's quite a decent size and you can fit a lot of things in there. Usually I store outdoor goods like tent and sleeping mats. There's an extra radiator for the winter as well. These mesh storage things are really good when you have some empty space like here. So you can put things like bin bags, books, whatever you want. I also put some near the Bluetti, so cables always get in the way. So these are really great for storing cables. At the back door, there's also this cabinet. So in here, it's a great place to store shoes. Unfortunately, this one doesn't work. I put a kettlebell inside and it was really heavy and it bust the door when I had to brake one time. So I need to fix that. When it gets dark, I close the curtains. So between the cab and the back area are these curtains. And then in the storage here above the driver's cab, I have these window covers which I made myself, and I'll link the video for that below as well. They stick on like this and no one can see in, which is absolutely great. So I have 3 windows in the back and I have 1 for each window. They're quite a big job to make. They probably will take you a full day to make, but they're really worth it and they're quite cheap to make as well. To get internet in my van, I can get internet in 2 different ways. So I can either do tethering from my phone via my mobile network, and this is great when I'm in places that have mobile reception. However, I go to quite a lot of wild and rural and remote places in Scotland. So some of these places I struggle to get any network coverage. So having the Starlink is really great for that because it's a satellite internet. And I have an extendable ladder and I can put it onto the roof of my van. So I have a mount on the top, which I got from Starlink as well. It's stuck on with Sikaflex. So this is the pivot mount here. It's a bit uneven on this end. So I put 2 metal plates and then attached it on with Sikaflex. So when you're driving, you can just tighten it like this so that doesn't move. When you want to put on the Starlink, you can just put it into the upright position and that's really, really strong. And then you can slot the Starlink in. So as you can see on the bottom of the Starlink dish, there is this gap here and that fits in. There's a spot here for it to fit in here and it will click once it's gone in correctly. Here I am on the roof of the van and I will slot the Starlink in. So there'll be the wire here. I'm just showing you without the wire. Yeah, it will come out the top here. So it just slots in like that. So if it's windy, it really shakes the roof. So on windy days I avoid using it. And then when the Starlink is powered on, it will start to move around to catch the correct signal. So I just make sure this is really tight before I go back down. I can put that up there and I can get really fantastic and high speed internet. I usually prefer to put the Starlink on the roof of the van because I have had some experiences where I've put it outside on the grass nearby the van and someone's tripped over the cable and also a dog has knocked it over once as well. So it's a really expensive piece of kit and I don't want to risk it getting broken. So that's why I tend to put it on the roof of the van so it's out of the way and I don't have to worry about it. The Starlink is great, but there are 2 downsides to it. One is that it uses a lot of power and the second is the price. So to buy the initial kit is quite an investment and then there's an ongoing monthly fee which has just increased and I think it's around £95 a month. So for me, I definitely get the use out of it. I use it every day and it's also better and faster than the Wi-Fi at home. So I use it at home as well. But it is definitely a consideration. The price can be quite off-putting, especially if you're just using it every so often. I have made a full video about the Starlink and I was in a remote part of Scotland and tested the internet speeds. So if you'd like to watch that, I'll link it below as well. In the van, I don't have a shower. So there's been some questions about what do I do for a shower. So when I stay at campsites, there's usually a shower at the campsite that I can use. I also like to go to leisure centres. So all around Scotland, you can find swimming pools and there's sometimes a gym. So I sometimes go there and I will use the pool or the sauna and then I can have a shower at the pool. And also in some parts of Scotland, you can find a shower in the public toilets. So especially in areas where there's a lot of outdoor activities and hiking, for example in Aviemore and the Cairngorms. In Scotland, some service stations also have showers, and you can sometimes ask for the key at the service station and then they will give you access to the shower. There's a really great app called Park for Night, and there's a free version of that app and you can search on there for showers when you're travelling around. I have previously converted both a van and a bus into campervans, so when it came to buying this van, I knew what I wanted and I'm still very happy with the decision to buy this campervan. I find that this van is really great for solo travel. I love the fact that I can park in normal parking spaces without any issues, but at the same time I can still stand up inside. For all the money that I've spent on the van, I've been using it around 100 to 150 nights per year. I don't live in it full time. I generally go on extended trips to travel in Scotland. So for the money that I've spent on it, I feel like it has been a good investment. I would say that this van is quite fuel hungry. I don't know how to work out the miles per gallon for a vehicle, but it generally costs me £80 to fill the tank from empty all the way till full, and I find that the fuel definitely does disappear much faster than a normal modern car. In Scotland, there's also the low emission zones that have been introduced recently in some of the cities, and if I enter into these low emission zones with my older diesel vehicle, I get fined £60. So from now on, I'm going to avoid going to cities as much as possible. I'll also share the ongoing costs of this van. So per year I'm paying £335 in road tax, which I would say is a bit more expensive because this is an older vehicle. I also pay £472, and this is for insurance and breakdown recovery. So I initially got quotes from about 4 or 5 different companies, and Adrian Flux was the cheapest one, and that's who I went with. And I've actually used their breakdown recovery a few times. I got locked out of my van once, and I also drove off the side of the road in the snow, and they came really quickly and they were absolutely amazing. So if you're looking for a breakdown recovery, I would highly recommend them. They're not sponsoring this video at all. I've just had a really great experience with them. I try to keep aside around £1,000 for the MOT each year. So during that time, I will get an oil change. I will get a full service on the vehicle. For the first year, the MOT cost around £1,000 with other things that I had to fix before it could pass the MOT. And then the second year, it cost around £500. So I like to keep that money aside because it is an older vehicle. There's a higher likelihood that there will be things that go wrong compared to a newer vehicle. Before I converted a van or bought a van, I always found these types of videos very helpful. So I hope you found this video helpful if you're looking to buy a van, or even if you're just interested about vans. And if you have any questions, perhaps I forgot to mention something, please leave a comment below and I will get back to you. Thank you for watching this video today, and I will see you next time.